All right, so we have more than a quorum. We've got everybody. That's amazing. So I guess we'll do roll call anyway. So Jay Saleh, Ronnie Krasinski here, Anita Wotus,
Here.
Loverine Taylor, Rebecca Flynn, Leslie Field,
Here.
and I'm Scott Elrod. So we're all here. So meeting is called to order. Wow. So let's see, oral communications for things that are not on the agenda. So any of us or anybody from the public can raise a question or make a comment right now if it's something that's not on the agenda. Is there anybody who wants to do that? And if you're out in the ether, please use the hand icon and raise your hand. So I see none, so let's move on. Yeah, there are Dave Cardinal is with us, but I don't see a hand up. So
No,
yeah.
I'm good.
Whoop. Hello, Dave.
Hi there.
Wow, that's loud. Yeah, I don't know. The audio in this room is anyway. We'll live with it. So we'll move on to introductions, of which we have none, I believe, and similarly for presentations and announcements, I don't think there are any today. So
Do you need to hear about the thing I finally read?
yeah, we need to do that in the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, there's an agenda and it's there's a whole section. Okay, Rebecca. I don't hear you. Is there a light on there?
No. Okay. It's on now. So for the past few months, I've been attending a bunch of lectures and webinars from 3C Ren, which is the group down near Santa Barbara, as well as PG&E. And there are quite a few interesting things, both about passive house, how that's the best way to build. Because what we want to try to encourage people to do is to build in a manner that allows for the passive energy efficiency before we move on into a mechanical type of energy efficiency. So passive means the first thing you have to do is make sure that your building envelope is completely sealed and very insulated. And that allows you then to lower the size of your heating and cooling equipment and allows you to
Thank you.
and allows you to reduce your mechanical equipment so that you spend less energy on heating and cooling, which are the biggest greenhouse gas emitters for a house, and allows you to actually also have a smaller solar system. So it saves you money in the long run. The other thing is I went to a couple classes on the built environment. So that's the next frontier. It's not just so much new housing, which we've covered a lot of regulations for, but the next frontier is dealing with existing houses and how to go about making them more energy efficient. And again, it comes to taking care of the envelope first so that you reduce what you need to do and then getting everybody to electrify. That's the big thing. So there were a lot of interesting talks. Anyway.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Is there material from those, like slides or websites that people might want to access, or?
I think they did provide them after the fact. So I don't know if I'm allowed to broadcast them or put them public. I'm not sure.
Oh, I see. These were ones you had to sign up for.
Right.
basically.
You have to register for.
Okay.
So
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. So if you could and you wanted to put that out on PV Forum for people interested, that would be great.
Okay. I'll check and see if it's permitted to do that.
Okay. Any other announcements or things that are not on the agenda? Yeah.
You have something.
Sure.
The Styrofoam drive. Can you hear me?
Not very well. I think,
Huh.
can you move a little closer even?
I can.
I think we have to be
Okay.
within about 1 inch
Okay.
of these,
That's better.
not.
Yeah, I can hear
Rebecca's
me now.
microphone's better, but these other
Yeah.
ones are really not
It's
very
a different
good.
microphone, yeah. The Ladera Church Styrofoam Drive dates have been set, and they are January 7th through the 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Mhm.
Daytime, 10 to 5, each of those 3 days. So it will probably show up from Linda Dre Nightingale in PV Forum. So if you want to pass that note around once it shows up in the PV Forum.
So if
Well-
you, oh, go ahead.
What do they do with it?
They take it to the Milpitas Newbie Island site, and they have a compressor, not a compressor, but they have a machine where they load in the lightweight styrofoam and compress it into bricks. They're actually brick size, and then they stack it up, and then they ship it somewhere. And I've not been able to get them to tell me exactly where, but it used to be used for picture frames. I'm not sure if it still
Okay.
does. And I'm not even 100% sure it is reused, but I think it is. I can't get anybody
Gotcha.
to confirm.
Okay, thanks.
What were the dates? again?
January 7, 8, 9.
This is at Valley Pres or
No,
at
no, at
Ladera?
Ladera Church.
Oh, okay.
There might be a slight advantage to also sending it out through Carrie Chin, the communications person,
Okay.
as a sustainability item, because it would then go to PV Forum and out on social media
Okay.
and such. So I would think you could do that as an we just give it to her as a PV sustainability announcement. And
Is this like an annual thing? Should we be saving our styrofoam for
Yes.
this every year? Okay.
Yes. I can't 100% guarantee that Valley Pres will do it in September again, because we won't be here in much of September. We're going to try, but every January, Linda does it at Ladera Church. So save all the Christmas styrofoam from the electronics and whatnot. That's why they do it then. And we do it in the summer because of back to school stuff, but also just so that they don't have two trucks worth in January.
okay, any other things before we move to the agenda? Okay, then we'll go to the meeting, approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of September 21st. Are there any suggested changes or additions to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye, please.
Aye.
I,
Okay, that was everybody. Okay, great. Okay, so old business. So Brandy has changed roles. She's now with the city of Woodside. She actually was continuing to work for Portola Valley for quite a few weeks, and she was doing things for our committee, among other things, right? I mean, she had a more than packed agenda, I think, and so probably wasn't able to get everything done, but she did follow up on a number of things that I can report on. I thought we would just leave her items on the agenda. We'll just call it updates, and we'll just go through those, and anybody who has material related to that should just chime in. And then Jeff Alfs and I were able to have a meeting with Brandy and follow up with her on a few of the topics that we cover, and primarily try to get handoff of contacts. So for example, the green waste tour, I mean, who has she been talking to and how do we make that happen? So that's an example. So I think for each of these items, I may have something to report, but then I'd open it up to others to chime in with whatever else relates to that topic. So on the smart meter topic, there's a request. I mean, I think there's a little bit of concern about multiple channels of communication to utilities. Peninsula Clean Energy, Green Waste, Cal Water. And so they'd like to they prefer to have like a staff person or a person who's formally on the town council be the main liaison with those organizations. So Jeff has agreed to step in and be the Cal Water contact person together with Carrie. So if we have questions, I mean, some of us may now have contact information for, is it Dawn? Dawn is the person there. We should, you know, it's fine to communicate with her, but we should work with Carrie and Jeff first, and just make sure they're in the loop. So they just want to, you know, I think they're a little bit protective of the relationships with those big companies because they're doing, you know, contract negotiation and everything else with them. And so they just, I think it's, if we have something we want to convey or ask, then we can work through Carrie. I think Carrie would be the go-to person because Jeff is so maxed out basically as the mayor. So Brandy did send, let me just look at my notes from her. So she did send us the link to the smart water meter insert. I guess there's an online version of it, the insert that goes out to residents. And there's work to be done to incorporate that into the town website. And the idea was that we could be pointing, you know, in our PV forum announcements related to the smart meter rollout, we could be pointing to the town website and the information there. So I guess she didn't send that to me, so I guess that went to Carrie. Or do you have that?
I vaguely think it came through somewhere.
Okay. So I think the strategy for what is said by us or in PV forum or with a mailer is still TBD, right? And we haven't really settled on any communication plan that would involve collateral that we would be responsible for sending out. Am I correct in that? So we need to figure that. I guess we need to work with Carrie on what do we think. Somebody help refresh my memory. What did we talk about last time related to what the committee might be responsible for sending out to the community?
I don't think we ever did because Cal Water never gave us anything. And so we were
Okay.
kind of waiting on them to give us.
So who on the committee is interested in sort of developing the strategy for communication around the smart meters from our committee? Who would like to do that? Is that Lovey and Rebecca? It sounds like it's Lovey and Rebecca. So let me.
Okay. I'll do it if Rebecca will do it, because I've got issues right now that I can't put a lot of
Sure.
time in,
Sure.
but I do have contacts at Cal Water. I got this woman named Jenna, who is supposedly the person that people contact if they have problems.
Okay.
She read my purpose, my public service announcement,
Yes.
and that I posted on November 2nd or 3rd. Did anybody read it?
Mhm.
Okay. She thought it was wonderful.
Oh, great.
Uh,
Mm.
And then, so I've sort of established a contact with her,
Okay. Yeah.
relationship, I should say.
Right. Okay. So it sounds like if Carrie's going to be the point person working with our committee on communications that we might develop and then put out on the website or whatever, there needs to be a meeting between Carrie, you know, now that Brandy's gone, there needs to be a meeting between Carrie, Lovey, Rebecca, and I could join that too. But just to sort of kick off the discussion of, okay, what else are we going to put out? I did not get a copy of the insert or the link to the insert. And so I will get that and I will send that to the two of you and I'll work to set up a meeting with her.
When you say insert, Are you referring to the things that they give you when they install the meter?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I can show you mine. and
So I
see
think
if you wanna-
the electronic version of that is what I
the
understood.
electronic version. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't realize there was.
In
an
other words, there's a,
electronic version.
well, it's probably
You
just
know,
a
they
PDF or
Put a door
whatever.
hanger on.
Right.
This is the ion water thing,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Okay.
And so it's the electronic version of that that we can then put in the website and have links to and write about in PV forum, et cetera, et cetera. So let me get the link and send it to the two of you, and then I'll set up a meeting with Carrie so we can sort of start anew with what is the strategy for communications around the smart meter that we, the committee, want to help spearhead, basically.
And how do we want to handle all the comments in the past week about people who've had trouble
I
with
think
their
that's
meter
that's a great question.
installation?
Let's talk about that in the public service announcement part, if that's okay, because I think eventually it's a PSA that we would draft.
Okay.
So let me then open it up to others on the smart meter topic. Are there other things that people,
I
wanna
guess
bring
I
to it?
didn't quite understand what type of communication you're imagining. If they're already putting the flyers. what else is there to
so,
communicate?
for example, I mean, just, for example, maybe their ion water tutorial is not sufficiently detailed. Maybe we want to expand upon it, and maybe we want to shoot a video of somebody actually using it. For example, I mean, I just made that up, but basically to the more educational material than what they have provided, if we think that's needed. So I think that's the need for a strategy, looking at what they have provided. Is it enough? Could we amplify people's adoption by making a video, by giving some tutorials, examples, by telling some anecdotes?
What to do about leaks?
What's that?
What to do about leaks?
Yeah, just sort of how FAQ, is there an FAQ that would go beyond what they prepared that we might be responsible for that would help with the adoption? I think so I think the subgroup needs to decide what is needed. That could be with Carrie, and then we would develop it, I guess. Does that make sense?
And see what we have actually on the website now and whether it's
Yeah.
relevant.
Okay, so we have should we formally say there's a subcommittee on the smart meter topic?
Okay. Do we need to vote on that or is that just?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I have no idea. But
Well, it's in the notes.
all right, it's in the notes. So we now have a subcommittee. And anybody else wants to join the subcommittee should do that. Although, no, we can't. We're three and that's all we can have. Okay. Okay.
Scott, just one comment. There is a YouTube video for ion water.
Okay.
And in my public service announcement, I gave that link,
Okay.
and it is good.
Okay.
It is pretty good. I mean, I think maybe a more personalized one for this area might have nuances that aren't there. But it was good.
Okay. Great. Yeah. So
How
I
many
think-
people here have the new meters?
yes.
No leaks. Didn't break it.
1, 2, 3.
4. I've got one.
Who's 4? 1, 2,
Yeah.
3.
4.
Who's the fourth person?
Me, you, you.
Well, I didn't
and-
get a new meter.
Oh, you don't have one. Oh, okay.
I'm not
3.
getting one
Sorry,
because I have
3.
the old one.
She has her flume.
I have my flume too.
No, I don't.
They just show
Well,
up.
I'm hoping not to. get it.
You have a flume?
I have a flume.
Oh, they won't give you one. What about you? Do you have a flume, Jay?
No.
Do you have a new meter?
Not yet.
Okay. Any other things related to smart meters? Oh, and then, yeah, Lovey's write-up, obviously. And Brandy did comment on that. So that was, I think, probably one of her last official actions for the town was to lend her comments on that. So. Okay, so we move on. The Greenways Tour. So I have a phone call with Carrie tomorrow at 8:30 to talk about green waste and to actually with a phone call with green waste. So for the first time, we're going to actually talk directly to green waste about the tour and about the insert that might go in their newsletter for the home energy analytics. They are willing to run the insert for the home energy analytics. It will cost something. I imagine it's not much for a green waste newsletter. I imagine it's pretty low budget. But anyway, and so I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions about, okay, how do we get this rolling? There are some possible dates for a tour that Carrie suggested. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find those. I did not give any feedback on that because I wanted first to understand what can the tour accommodate. In other words, there are 7 of us. Am I correct in presuming that everybody here would want to go on the green waste tour? Yeah.
Depending the
Okay, well,
date,
we try to pick a date that would work for all of us. So then the question for me was, okay, there was a lot of interest expressed on PV Forum, and that like 3 or 4 people said, count me in. Can we take a group of 10, right? And I don't feel like we ever got an answer to that question from Brandy communicating with Greenway. So I wanted to ask that. I wanted to ask then, okay, could we have more than 7? Could it be 10? And then if there were 10 more or 20 more people from the community who wanted to do the tour, how would you do that? Would you have several tours with 10 each, or what's the maximum tour size? And so just try to nail it down, and then Carrie, I think will help us pick dates for the first one, which would be us potentially plus 2 or 3 community members. And I don't know whether it makes sense to tell you what those possible dates were. I think we could, I think we should decide, we should probably do what do you think, a doodle poll and figure out when we could all go, basically.
Is it during the week or a weekend?
I imagine it's during business hours during the week, but I don't know that actually.
Well, I guess you should kind of get an idea tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you going to talk at all about service, just general service?
Wasn't going to, no, was really just going to focus on the tour logistics and the energy in the home energy analytic insert, how and when we could do that. Yeah.
When you ask about opening it up to the community and larger groups, maybe ask about kids as well, if there would be any.
Oh, yeah.
constraints.
Okay, that's good.
I think there was a limit on age.
Right, so finding out what that is.
Okay, yeah, so so green waste. Kids, weekends possible? What are basically what hours? Maximum number total. Any other questions people would like to have asked?
More than one date in case we want to accommodate more community members.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask about multiple dates. So we could have maybe a second tour with 10 community people and one of us or something. Yeah. Okay. We did answer the question of whether there was concern that us going together would be a Brown Act issue, and it was just like, come on, no. So I was able to pose the question to who's the new person? Jennifer.
Sharif?
Jennifer. No,
Oh,
Jennifer
Jennifer.
Torres is the town clerk, and I guess the designated Brown Act contact. And I just said, look, we have a town picnic where we can all be there. We do the town picnic stuff. We don't talk about a matter on which we're going to vote. There's no problem. And she said, yeah, sounds right. So follow the same rules. So if we go on the tour of the green waste facility, we can ask a whole bunch of questions, and we can talk about the green waste facility and the technology and all that. And as long as we don't go into topics that would be potentially up for a vote in front of our committee, then there's no problem. We can all be there. In any case, we're going to be a non-Brown Act committee at some point in the next several months, probably. So, the Brown Act concern is a concern now, and until that happens, but it's gonna, I think February is, I was gonna go into that in a minute, but February is the likely time when we're gonna switch to being a non-Brown Act committee, which will then not, there won't be that particular consideration.
Curious on the Greenways tour, is there any provision for methane? Are we gonna discuss that? Are they trying to reduce that? Those sites are generally a big source of methane, which is a critical.
Right.
factor.
They are, what is it they have for that? They do have a,
They oxygenate their composting. They've been in compliance with 1383, the food garbage ruling for years. And now that everybody has to separate out their food, it's not going into the landfill. So that definitely reduces the methane. So I think they're pretty on top of it, seems to me.
yeah.
And they, I don't know, are they capturing too methane?
I don't think they're
Remember.
doing anaerobic digestion, so then they wouldn't be generating methane. I think you're right that it's oxidative and aimed at not creating methane.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You just made me very happy.
Mhm. Any other inputs related to the tour? And just approximately how far out in the future do you think we should be looking at in order to make sure that we all have dates available? Should we say,
February, March, April, I don't know.
March.
oh, really? You want to wait that? So you don't think January is
Mm-mm.
practical in terms of people's schedules?
February, maybe.
I can't do much in February, but half of February I can, depending on the dates.
Okay.
We're gone.
Okay.
10 days.
Well, maybe we ought to have a doodle poll with multiple dates in January, February, and March. Does that make sense? Just to try to cover the bases and find a time that works. Okay. Are there days of the week that are better or worse for people?
Daytime, no, nothing.
Monday, Tuesday is better for me.
Not early is better for me. I've got 9 a.m. meetings and stuff.
Monday, Tuesday, not early. Okay. So, okay. All right. Let me work with that. Okay.
Forget the Monday, Tuesday thing for me. They're all, every day's got something.
Okay. Okay. The home energy analytics insert, same thing. It's just a question of what are the mechanics? And then I guess we need to draft something and we need to right, this is going to be, no?
Can't they provide
They
it?
they wanted to provide it, right? They just
Um,
wanted
Yeah, okay.
wanted us to facilitate it, I guess.
Okay. I guess since it's going to come out from the town and from our committee, we ought to be involved in at least looking at it, and, seeing, but yes, okay. So let me just figure out what length of item they can accommodate in their newsletter, and then we'll work with I can't remember
At least in my mind, it would be like a little slip, no?
No, I think it would be, well, their newsletter is like a brochure, so I think it'd be an article in the brochure.
I thought we were talking about something that would go like in the
Oh, as a,
bill, like a mailer, a little piece of paper that you put in the.
Do you get a paper bill?
no. No, I think we were talking about in the newsletter, maybe it could be an insert in the newsletter, like a full page thing that goes in there, or it could be written into what do we prefer? An adder that goes in with their mailing.
Find out how much it costs.
Yeah,
And
it
then
seems like that would get more attention if it were a separate page of its own. So, but I think that was the notion.
How many people do you think actually get a paper bill, if anybody, in
No, I
Portola Valley?
I don't think it's not the bill, it's the newsletter they send out, which is quarterly. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. Not very often.
So yeah, so those are the questions, what's the frequency? What's the production schedule for the next one? Does it have to go in the newsletter? It could be a separate flyer. And then we'd work with the contact at Home Energy Analytics to prepare it and then, be involved in. Are you, Ronnie, interested in helping with that one?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'll get in touch with you after tomorrow, once we've learned what's involved. Yeah, okay. Okay, climate action plan. So the climate action, so I asked the question of Jeff and of Brandy, hey, look, the climate action plan is taking a long time. We would love to help push it forward. And what if, not that this is true, but what if several of us on the committee wanted to devote, 10 hours a week for the next 3 months to helping get it to the finish line and present it to the town council? And, could we do that? Could we play a more active role? And apart from the question of whether there's anybody on the committee who would do that, which I think is a question, she felt that there's so many moving parts in it and so many things that have to be validated and checked with various staff members in the town, that absent the staff people, now there's a whole bunch of recs out for new hires. Absent the counterparts of our committee in the staff, it's going to be impossible to do anything. It's just going to be, we have to wait basically until there are suitable replacements for people like Brandy and, and like the planning. I don't know, is there a new planning person?
Not full-time.
No, so the staff was pretty much gutted with departures. So I think we just have to wait for something of the complexity of a climate action plan. We are not going to be able to drive it forward ourselves as a committee, working with Jeff or through other, means like that.
We did talk about last time, the idea of just looking at researching all other jurisdictions' climate action plan, just to kind of prepare ourselves.
That we could do, and we could put ourselves in a good position to be ready to have inputs. So to me, if we wanted to, that could be a subcommittee, like a study group that is together, meeting offline and, reviewing other cities. And unfortunately, I couldn't get Brandy to give me a draft of what she had prepared with the intern. I think she just felt it was not ready, and the town council needs to see it first and sort of be the ones to charter the whole process. So, but we could look at other towns. Do we want to have a subcommittee to do that?
Or the whole committee just gets drafts to read, you can spread drafts around.
Yeah,
and
we
not
could-
have everybody read everything.
That'd be okay. But I think somebody needs to take charge of it. Like who's going to
Research them and
research it,
send
find
them
the
out.
drafts, bring the drafts to our meetings, who's going to do it? So is there a person or a group that want to sort of take ownership of the education about climate action plans?
Right? What are you imagining is going to happen with the actual plan? Is it that we will hire a replacement for Brandy and then that person would drive it forward?
I think it's a combination of the Brandy's replacement, the town manager, and the replacement for Laura, is it Laura? The planning director.
Planning.
Yeah. It's some combination. It's several people really. And, and then once those people are on board, we're going to have to interact with them, and we could be very helpful, I imagine, if we've read a bunch of other existing plans, but yeah, it's going to be months. It's not going to be soon.
I imagine it probably needs to be reprioritized from the town council to have directed staff to work on it. Or-
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think it's just sort of, they're just doing whatever yeah, I mean, right now it's off the list.
I'm
Yeah.
tempted to help, but it doesn't feel realistic given my time, but some level of help. How hard would it be to get a plan from Woodside? I mean, they're close.
Well, if Brandy now is
There's-
the person, it'll be hard.
Well,
It would be hard.
no, I think it's San Mateo that has one. But I remember when I joined, Jeremy Dennis at the time sent me, for whatever reason, a couple links to climate action plans you mentioned, that was something that the sustainability committee was working on. And so, yeah, they're out there. You can just read them. I guess it seems to me at this point, like, I don't know how, I don't know what comes out of, like, if we have a study subcommittee, like trying to do something versus if any of us are interested in like finding out more about them, we can just go read them on our own, maybe talk about it in one of these
Well,
meetings.
If, Ronnie, if you have access to those links, if
I
you could
can
just send them,
Yeah, I'll send
then
the
we can all
links.
kind of look at it and see what the potential workload would be. Because I'd be interested in seeing them, but I really don't want to spend time having to search for links.
Right. I mean, otherwise, it seems like if we're trying to develop ideas and stuff like that, it's not clear that they're going anywhere, at least not for years, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, yeah, I don't know, but that seems like an order of a year for people to be up to speed and have bandwidth to do something on this topic.
So why don't we
maybe-
just have Ronnie send the links around and then we'll
Okay,
just kind of
so
table it, but
more informal self-education about what's out there, and until they are more constituted, I guess.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Were you going to say something, Jay?
Nope.
No. Okay. Okay. The other items on here, you know, I mean, there are a number of them that were sort of FYI kinds of things for Brandy to just keep us in the loop. And I think, you know, like the disposable foodware ordinance, there's nothing for us to do related to that. So I'm not sure. Does anybody have other things to talk about in the list that's there?
Did Brandy provide any information about the reach codes that we don't have in town, that we didn't?
So she ran out of time. She did run out of time. She wasn't able to provide anything. Jeff offered to talk with folks at PCE about reach code, comparative view of reach codes that different municipalities have adopted, and he hasn't been able to do that yet. So.
Okay.
What is the thing there? We didn't complete them, or I don't remember the status.
Well, we completed some of the reach codes and that got adopted, but the question is what other reach codes we should be kind of focusing on for future things, such as existing buildings. Because like as of January 1st, all heat pumps have to use a lower global warming potential refrigerant. So already I think manufacturers are not selling the higher, I forget the code, R410 maybe. Anyway, the older refrigerant that has a very high global warming potential. So now that it'll be 800, it'll be the maximum. And then in I want to say 2025, a lot of gas appliances won't be legal. So it'll be a big issue for people who need to replace appliances. So these are the kind of
That
things.
one's not a reach code thing.
Probably not if it's mandated, yeah. But there's other reach codes. I mean, if I think about building for new construction, a reach code I'd like to have in town is to require everybody to put 2 inches of rigid insulation on the outside of their homes, properly air sealed and installed. So, those are kind of things. There's a lot of stuff in the building code that could be improved for sure. And then, existing buildings, there's a lot of stuff that could be pushed into those, for people who need to replace appliances. But I don't know, because also the fire department, I don't know, I didn't attend it yesterday, but there was a meeting that they're talking about the new fire code that they're thinking of implementing. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that will have impacts on building, not least of which is something as simple as requiring that electricity be put from your house to your gate, to your door, to your mailbox, to have an illuminated number at your mailbox. So that's just a massive waste of electricity and totally unnecessary. So it's little things like that, you know, when you have electricity running for 8 hours at night, just even if it's a tiny little LED, why? You know, what's wrong with the reflective number? You know, you see it perfectly well. I drove around as I came here and I was looking at the mailboxes and I had no problem seeing the ones that had nice reflective numbers. You know, you don't need a light on it. So things like that, little things like that, that have implications. I mean, the code that just got passed, for example, totally changed how they figured the requirements for square footage. So, whereas before, if you changed based on the way they calculated 75% of your structure, you then had to comply with the fire codes and upgrade your whole house to fire codes and your whole landscaping. So now they've reduced it to 50% and they've changed the way they calculate the square footage. So if I wanted, for example, to change my windows to be high efficiency, all of a sudden, just changing a window, one wall of windows, I have to count the entire room now of square footage. So all of a sudden, it's much easier to hit that 50% platform. And if I hit it, not only do I have to put in fire sprinklers throughout the house and do all sorts of other fire code upgrades, but then I have to upgrade my entire yard to make it fire code, whatever. So just, you know, when you think about, okay, I want to make small steps to improve the energy efficiency of my home, you know, that you don't get to do that anymore. Now you're forced to do massive steps, and who's going to do that? People don't have the money for that. So it's little things like that that we're, you know, that people aren't aware of. But so that's why I would like to know what kind of codes or other communities are considering or looking at.
So just back to, I'm just looking at Brandy's note. So back to the home energy analytics. So I'm not, so actually Brandy connected Jeff with James. James is the guy at Home Energy Analytics. Is that right, Ronnie? James is the guy. So Jeff got connected with James and I wasn't copied on that stuff. So I don't have I guess James was going to give Jeff an example of what they would want to run in the Green Waste newsletter. And then that apparently needs to go to the town council to get approved. So I guess I need to insert my nose back into it. I don't know. That was, I think Brandy was trying to do these formal handoffs and I wasn't copied on a bunch of them. So
That's what we were just talking about a moment ago.
yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I will get the that sample communication from Carrie and send it to you, Ronnie.
So I'm confused why it goes to the town council. Is it something that appears to come from the town rather than from HU?
Well, because I mean, the town is paying for it and it's coming out under the auspices of our committee. So it needs to be something that the town buys into as a communication. I'm a little surprised that it needs to actually go to the council, given their other business, that it can't just be delegated to us. But so the fact that it didn't come to us is a bit concerning. And I think Brandy was being very protective of the relationships between the town and these other agencies. And so maybe from my perspective, a little overly protective. So I'm going to try to insert myself back into that one, but okay. What else? We got, okay, the public service announcement. So be interested to hear any feedback. Have you gotten feedback on the water meter one?
Me?
Anybody?
Oh, well, I got, like I say, the woman from Cal Water, Jana, thought it was terrific.
Mm.
But that's all. I've not got anything up from anybody else.
Mhm.
You didn't see- no.
Are you not on PV forum or
I'm on TV forum.
you didn't see it? Oh,
Are you not in
It's in
the,
the
you don't get the town
newsletter.
newsletter either?
Town newsletter, I'll go now. That's the thing about the newsletter, you have to actually go. It doesn't get pushed.
yeah.
It was posted on the
You can get a
7th.
notice.
Okay,
11 through.
okay.
Where, it's in the recent, it's in the recent town newsletter that I just saw today, I think. There is a town newsletter that goes out every week, and I think it just went out today, the link for it, and it's in there.
It's that thing that Carrie puts out
Yeah.
once a week. And you have to click on it and there's a list of things and it's towards the bottom. It's not on the forum as, you have to dig for it. It's down about 3 levels. You don't know what's on there. There's about.
You need to
have
be
dig at least
closer.
2 levels.
closer
For the
to your mic.
newsletter, for the
No,
newsletter.
It's just there in the newsletter.
But I think she sent it out to PV Forum or out to the town anyway,
Yeah,
on
it's
its
called
own
the-
thing.
The weekly
I know.
update or something. And then
Yeah.
you go to it.
Oh,
you open it.
Microphone. Can you get closer to your microphone?
It's
Thanks.
called the weekly update. And then you go to that and then there's about 4 or 5 things, various things. Then you click on that one that says, my water meter diary or whatever I called it. And so you have to go at least 2 levels down. So I didn't hear anything.
Mhm.
I didn't see anything. And in fact, the people who have been posting lately about problems, which I think was, nobody mentioned that they had seen that, where there was hints about how to set up your Ion Water account and stuff. And
Would it make sense for one of you to send a response to some of those people and saying, just wanted to make sure you saw the detailed write-up or not?
It went
Right.
out November 1st. Carrie sent it out as sustainability tips.
You're talking about the people who have had leaks spring up in their,
Uh-huh.
I would not touch that. I mean, what are you going to point them at?
Well, so do they actually have leaks or they actually have leaks?
Some of them had real leaks.
And so the leaks, do the leaks appear to have been generated by the smart water meter installation process? Oh, brother.
They don't know, but
Okay. All right. So you,
I have them here, actually. There were about 5.
Those I did see.
And a couple, I would say, maybe it was associated because I had trouble. And I described it in my,
well, there's the system telling you that you have a leak and they're not actually being one because of whatever about the software or getting it set up properly or whatever. But I think Ronnie's saying these are bona fide leaks where when they installed the meter, they actually induced a leak, a true
At
leak.
least 3 people, and I think the system did not tell them that they had a leak.
someone said their hot water failed. Another
Yes,
person
hot
said
water.
their PVC pipe failed and they had to spend $7,200 repairing a PVC pipe, which I don't
At- at
it
the
understand.
was
water
5,
meter.
it was in August, though, that was, the meter was put in, and it happened in November. So, I mean, aging infrastructure, you can't blame that one on the water meter. I don't know.
So-
There were a
so-
couple that might have had airlocks, because that's what I think I had when it was installed. And I had the guy come back the next day. So that was fortunate that I got it solved right away. But I was getting notifications I had leaks and I knew I didn't. And one person said that same thing. I know I don't have leaks.
But
So
$7,200 for PVC pipe?
Well, it was
What you
at the
said.
water meter.
How does that happen?
Because it's like an emergency. I mean, they said like the plumbers charge for, emergency.
Agree.
Wow. Okay. So it sounds like there's nothing that we would say in response to most of those things. Okay. Yeah.
Only the person with that might be an airlock problem.
Could
Yeah,
we
there's one
respond? Could one of you respond to him or her directly and just,
notice after,
I can ask Carolyn, she's a friend of mine, about her issue.
okay,
yeah,
that'd be great. I guess where we can respond, but otherwise, yeah. Okay. Okay, and then there's a new one There's a new one that's just been completed. Thank you, Leslie, and I haven't read it yet, but Rebecca has read it. And so do the two of you feel that with your editing loop that it's ready to go? Because if so, I don't need-
Almost, but not
Almost.
quite, because I know that, I'm reporting not only on our own sustainability work, but on two other town residents, and they haven't had a chance to
Oh.
proof it yet. So-
Sure, sure.
And I know in one case, at least, it sounds like they've made some leaps and bounds progress that I just heard about when I talked with them. So we got to make sure that it's
Okay.
accurate.
Okay, so that's the next step, basically. Okay, all right, great.
But
All
I
right.
loved Rebecca's endorsement of it, and then she did some really great editing.
Good. So what might, okay, great. So that sounds like you're gonna be interacting with those other folks and you'll get that'll get done in the next couple weeks perhaps, and then be ready to
Hopefully sooner,
launch
yeah.
it. Okay. And then what do we want to do beyond that? What I wondered, Anita, the church, and you all have developed tons of collateral and you've added multiple topics to our committee. Is there anything else from Valley Pres that,
That we've already written or that could. be-
yeah, or the focus that you have that we haven't yet spoken about on PV Forum?
Yeah, a lot of a lot of our collateral is about books, articles, films, videos, our ways. We don't have anything really in-depth in compost to add. Yeah, plastic was the most in-depth, which is why it was low-hanging fruit.
Mhm.
You could just kind of
Mhm.
pick it up and just orient it. I'll take a look.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at the site again. I have to anyway, so I'll look to see if I can find something else.
I'm going to be teaching again, and if the room's big enough, I'd welcome community auditors. I've done that before. If the room isn't big enough, I can let you guys know what guest speakers are coming and provide recordings if people are interested, right? You've done some of that,
Mhm.
being there and listening. to
Super
recordings,
interesting.
so sort of turn that
What
into
is the course topic?
engineering, entrepreneurship, and climate change. This will be
Oh.
my 14th year teaching it. and
Oh, okay.
It's just a one-unit elective at Stanford, but the community's been really interested over the years. So
Great. Yeah, that would sound like a wonderful thing to advertise.
I get great guest speakers too. By the
Mm.
time you've done it this long, and you can say, and here's who spoke last year, would you like to speak at Stanford? The response is often yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get some really good ones. Yeah.
One thing I've wanted to add to that site is to try to collect as many articles on information, at least on the topics of things that are being done technologically that are really promising, that are very close to actually, making a big difference. And there's a podcast that Molly Wood puts out every week, I think, and that's what she tackles. And my thought was to go. She's been doing it less than a year, so there aren't that many, and maybe it's even less than once a month, once a week. I think it might be once a month. But anyway, I was going to go back and look at those topics and look at the technology that she's talking about and gather some of that information and try to put it in one place.
Hmm.
So
Is she a Valley Press person?
no,
or
no,
she's a-
Molly Wood's she used to work for Marketplace. She's a journalist.
Oh,
She lives in Oakland, there's Alameda, somewhere in
Oh,
East
okay.
Bay, and she quit Marketplace and she started this podcast and effort to go out and research because she's in Silicon Valley essentially, or at least Bay Area, research startups that are tackling some of the issues. She's talked about cement, I think she talked about styrofoam replacement. And there's even more on that topic out
A
there.
great topic might be just to provide several
Yeah.
podcasts, because
Yeah.
I know of one too that I follow on Instagram. So
Yeah.
maybe just a collection of, with a little blurb about why they're interesting
Yeah.
would be nice to
I'd
know.
love that
Mm.
too. Yeah, there's another good climate reporter out there in LA, Matt Matern, who does something he now calls a climate change.
Mhm.
And he's looking for good solutions too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we should share all this.
Yeah, I can collect some of that and
Yeah.
write some stuff up and I'll send it to you. Since I'm not supposed to send it to more than 3 people. I'll send it to you, Scott, to be sent out. and
Yeah,
we can
well, I
just
think
add to it and
Rebecca always would be good.
Send it to, okay,
since-
you and Rebecca.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect. Okay.
All right. I'll do that.
Okay. Any other ideas that people have been thinking about?
Well, I have been thinking about kind of what I sent out today or yesterday, about the rebates. There's
Mhm.
just phenomenal rebates for hot water and heat pumps.
Mhm.
So that I think would be good information to put out to people before they run out. Some of
Oh.
them may run out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
But
I
it-
would like to know when they're running out. So that would be great if you could.
Well,
tell
they run out when
Sawyer.
they run out of money, so there's no predicted,
Oh,
some of
no
them
date.
do, some of them versus the IRA, that one should go for
Yeah.
quite a long time, but like Tech Clean California, $3,100 towards
Mm.
a heat pump,
Hmm.
hot water heater.
Mm.
So, I mean, that pays a big chunk of the
Does that
machine.
Yeah.
cover the 240 if you need it? Does it also, can you use it for the
Um,
240 line?
I'm not 100% sure. I think they have a separate one, like $1,000 to upgrade, if you need to upgrade your electrical.
Mhm.
Aren't
So-
some of those income based?
They also have some income-based ones from that same group. That's like $5,100 or more. And then next year, the IRA, hopefully California will get around to dealing with it, but they're going to be offering $14,000 for electrification projects for income-based. So there's a lot. And I just found one today that I asked my contractor, because I'm doing this heat pump system. There's one for 550 if you replace your heating, your water, your stove, and your dryer.
Hmm.
All of them,
Mm.
$5,500. That's a
Wow.
lot of money.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to get that.
Hmm.
But it's a big pain in the rear, I have to
Yeah.
say, because every organization has their own, like Bayren, PCE, Tech Clean California. There's some others. I mean, they all have their own, and it's for the contractors, it's a nightmare. They have to take classes for each of these groups. You know, my guy was like bitching and moaning because he was having to go to an 8 a.m. things. But you know, these guys cost money for them to spend an hour listening to talk about the rebates and all this stuff. And
Mm.
so, but
Do they have to do special training?
yeah, they have to be like a registered whatever
Like a
contract.
license.
Well, they're all licensed, but
Yeah.
with their specialty, but they have to be registered with like Tech Clean and Bayren both require, they only let you use the contractors that have gone through their system. PCE, on the other hand, will let you do anybody as long as they're as long as they're a licensed contractor, they'll give you the money. And they give you 2,000, I think, for the hot water heater.
And these amounts from the different groups are all additive, basically, or not?
Most of them are additive, except Bayren and Tech Clean come from the same funding source, which is the utility. So those two are not additive. But
Mhm.
you can add either one of those plus PCE plus, what was the other one? I'm blanking on my head, but so there's like essentially 3. And then on top of that, the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, has another tax credit so that when you file your taxes, you get another $2,000 off.
Hmm.
As you know, if it's 30% of what you spent after the rebates. So it depends how much your hot water heater costs. But there's just a lot of money sloshing around for people to use. So I
Yeah,
think it would be good
well,
to
that would
put
be
something
a
out.
great
about
one,
that.
great one to put out, yeah.
So I'll try to
Okay.
draft something at some point in the next month or so.
Okay. Good. Library loaner program. So I think everybody knows that we're limited to 2 items at the library. I think we talked about that last time. The 2 that we have now are the backup power and the induction cooktop. It seems to me it would be good to maybe have some regular schedule of re-announcing those, the availability of those on PV Forum. You know, people might not have noticed it, or they might now want to try one. So doing that, what, once a quarter, you think, or?
So when you say 2 items, it's 2 items on display, or you just can't even
2 items.
access the other items?
Period. Yeah, no, if, right, it's really a pain. It's really not what we were hoping for. So if you want to add the Lomi composter, then you have to delete one of the other items. I mean, they would keep the other item and they would still have it in their IT system, but they wouldn't present the other item as something that you could borrow during the time period that the Lomi was available. So
I
it's,
mean, the 2 items we have, I think, are more important than the loaning. So
Yeah.
I can't see any time in the year when you switch it out. It just doesn't make sense.
So what are the 2?
the backup power and the induction cooktop.
Yeah.
And they're out on display right now. We could just say, we're going to stick with those.
I think so.
But I do think, you know, it's easy for 3 or 4 months to slip by and for it not to get re-announced. So could we have it, what do you think? Once every quarter, we should re-announce these things?
Yes.
So
At least, yeah.
would you mind re-releasing that message, and then maybe we should put it on a calendar somewhere that we're gonna just do that, refresh that once a quarter.
But with the holidays coming up, it's a good time for the induction, you know, an extra set of check.
Burners, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
idea.
Mhm.
Do we have what are the other items? Do we have anything else besides those 2?
We're not allowed to.
Oh,
No, we don't have it. I
Okay.
mean, those are the only 2 at the library now, and
Yeah.
we're not, the Lomi was gonna be next, but
Oh.
it seems like the wind has come out of those sails.
Yeah, well, the Lomi needs, you know, regular, and not frequent, but regular maintenance. It needs its filter changed when, you know, the charcoal replaced when a light comes on. And so somebody's got to check it out periodically. So if it's not in regular use, we'll just forget.
Okay, so maybe we don't need to have the loaner program anymore on the agenda. We're just gonna go with,
Except to remind us to.
do the announcement. Is it, Rebecca, could you put it on a calendar somewhere to
Mhm.
redo the announcement?
Yep.
Thanks, periodically.
Yeah, to me, the announcement makes sense because I would have assumed it wasn't available any longer, right? That it had been going on.
Yeah,
Plus it's hard to find it on the website.
yeah, it is. Okay, if we were to move on, we would go to the non-Brown Act committee thing. So let me tell you what I've learned from Patty Dews. This is going to happen. The town council, it's going to be on the plan is to have it on the agenda in January and bring it up for a vote. And so in February, our February meeting might be the first as a non-Brown Act committee. Yay. So here's what that would entail. I'm just going to read to you from the email. So members would be appointed by the town manager. So we would start by just saying, town manager, please appoint the current members as the members. Members can attend in person or by Zoom. There's no requirement to have anybody here in the schoolhouse at the point where we're not a Brown Act committee. So it could be 100% by Zoom, which I don't know whether people like the idea of meeting here in person on a dark and cold.
I like it.
It is nice to see people.
Human
Or we could, but
It's
we,
kinda
or,
up to you.
or we could say, once a quarter, we're going to meet in person, and or whatever. We could do whatever we want.
Can we
And that-
meet at town hall? Back in the day, remember were you on the committee where we used to be
No.
around the big table?
Uh-uh.
That was nice.
Yeah. A quorum is defined as the majority of the members in attendance. So
What's that?
what?
Majority
A majority
in
in.
terms of voting?
Right. A quorum for us right now is 4 members, period. Doesn't matter if there are only 3 people attending, a quorum is not some fraction of 3. This is saying at least that a quorum is the majority of members in attendance.
Whether they're on Zoom or in the town center, town hall.
It doesn't matter whether we're on Zoom or in
Right.
person. So if there are 3 people, we can, I guess if there are 3 people here, we can still vote.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no, there's no,
Not if there's not someone also on Zoom. You
Well,
still
how-
need
how is there any
4.
voting then?
Three.
I mean,
3
isn't
is
it all-
not a majority.
hang on.
We're 7 people.
Yeah, no,
No, I mean, the whole,
you can hold a meeting, but you can't vote on anything if you don't have 4 people attending the meeting, either in
yeah,
person
so
or on Zoom.
something is wrong with this number 3. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not a Brown Act committee, you have nothing to vote on. You're not taking any official action.
Well, we could
You can
still,
vote informally.
we can vote informally. Yeah, I think it's basically, we don't really need to be voting. That's the bottom line. So let's not worry about the quorum. So, but we can have a meeting without a quorum. We can have a
Well,
meeting
we'll
without a
we'll still
quorum.
have a budget, so we'll still need to vote on our
Things we're gonna
plans and
spend
stuff.
money on. There may be a few things.
What we want to recommend to town council for stuff.
Yeah, but it's not well, I don't know. It sounds like it's not like an official government controlled legal action. So like in the way the Brown Act committee.
I don't know. Seems like they're trying to we have to put agendas online. We have to post agendas.
I see. So yeah, they've got the quorum definition wrong, completely wrong, because the next thing says meetings can be held with less than a quorum. However, any item requiring a vote must be done by a quorum. So I think a quorum is probably still the same as it was before, right?
Except they can be on Zoom too.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can,
Yeah.
right. We could all be on Zoom, and if there are 4 of us on Zoom, that's a quorum.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be any in-person component. The chair is responsible for posting the agenda and the minutes and stuff, and they'll figure out how they're gonna do that. We still want the meeting to be announced on the town calendar 48 hours prior to the meeting instead of a week prior, so that's nice. At the meeting, you can discuss anything, whether it's on the agenda or not. You can't, but you can only vote on things that are on the agenda. So, but since we're not going to be voting very often, this doesn't seem like a real detriment. At the meeting, you can engage with the public in attendance. You can have Q&A. I mean, basically, there's no longer a set required approach to how we engage public, the public or, others who are in attendance. And between meetings, we can discuss any item among any number of us that we want to. We can't vote on things while we're not at a formal meeting. Any kind of vote has to be here when we at a formal meeting, and it needs to be with a quorum. But we can talk about it offline with one of us or all of us. So that's what's going to happen in February.
So we could have a social gathering of the group as well, couldn't we?
We could do that now.
Can we?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. The Brown Act only says that you can't, I believe that you can't meet on matters of business that will come in front of the committee and have substantive discussions about that. I mean, you can have appearance issues with a bunch of us getting together, but I don't think, anyway, that's all going to go away.
Yeah.
It's all going to go away. Okay. So that's it for the agenda. What do we want for next time? Any topics other than continuation of the current topics?
Well, I snuck into my write-ups a couple of things trying to engage the community. And Rebecca took it a little farther too in her edit. So do you have a sustainability effort we should know about? So, I wrote up these three. But it's, it was really trying to appeal to the town because we know the kinds of people that are here, right? And the kinds of concerns we have. And I'm hoping that if we continue an attempt to engage more people and invite them in, that, we can get much more engagement with the town. That would be awfully nice. Right. So that, I'm gonna keep on trying to brainstorm my way through getting people more excited about what can I do? Here's this juggernaut coming at us, but we've got things we can do.
Yeah, good.
I wonder if we shouldn't be kind of posting on a monthly basis what the CO2 levels are in the atmosphere.
There's enlightening people and there's
Scaring people,
terrifying.
yeah.
A doomsday clock?
Yeah.
Boy.
Could have our own doomsday clock, yeah.
Oh, we could start a book club type thing. I mean, there's some with more hopeful titles coming out now. So it's not too late or not too late starts as a beautiful book. I hope it continues that way. Rebecca Solnit, there are things, again. All right.
I'm not going to read a book on climate change isn't real. I'm not going to do that.
No, but a book club that says it's not too late and here's why, what we still can do. I think that's something constructive. It helps me stay going at any rate. And I've been staring into this for a while. So.
There was a book club once upon a time, wasn't there? A book club?
Well, we thought about doing a book
We
club.
thought about it and then we didn't choose to prioritize it.
It was pre-COVID.
Yeah, and then COVID hit and then it didn't
Oh,
quite.
Were there other reasons though why we decided a book club might not be the biggest bang? We decided it wasn't the biggest bang for the buck, basically.
you're getting the committed, you get the same 10 people.
Well,
So
we
I
talked
think,
about,
what rose to the top was these PV forum announcements and, public service announcements and information sharing. But we can revisit it.
People don't read books.
the other thing was the movies. Remember, there was a movie, we had a movie club or whatever.
Did you watch Don't Look Up together?
No, but before, it was several years ago. They had a few movies at the town center. So it was with popcorn. I never managed to make it to them, but they were supposedly quite successful.
Well, so maybe you raising that is great. And maybe it has been about a year since we looked at our list of priorities for the committee. So maybe that could be a topic next time. It's on the agenda every single time, so we can go to it if we want to, but maybe next month, we should take a look at those priorities and talk about whether there are any other activities, book club, movie night, things that we might want to add.
I wonder if there's also something more visible than the forum. Do we have metrics on how many people view it? Because I'm now there's so much toxicity in the forum. I delete almost everything and anything that I think is interesting. I'll ask my wife here. She's like, no, I delete everything from the forum. It's a service so that she can delete. For a lot of people, and I think if we put all this time into these posts that we make and we research them and we try to make them appeal to people, and then we post it on the forum and say, okay, we check that box. It's now there. Probably 90% of people physical place. Not like I want to, but what if every month we made a poster that was
Yeah. Right.
I haven't seen too much toxicity lately, but
Did you see
after the
the
election, it was less.
Almanac article about our staffing?
No.
That deserves a reply from somebody. but because it was the comments, it wasn't the article. It was, I made the mistake of reading the comments. There's an article in the Almanac yesterday, I think.
Dana
Yeah.
Breen posted it,
how
I
we've
think.
lost 70% of our staff. And the comments are, oh, those were the people who were causing all the problems. And
Oh,
it
my
was
goodness.
Just terrible.
That is
Just
terrible.
terrible. It's 3 people. I didn't go back and see if more people commented, but it was really
Wow.
awful. I thought somebody
Oh,
should
we-
comment and say, these were not the people.
We had a great
causing the
staff.
problems."
Yes.
Exactly. They were really maligning the
Ugh.
staff that quit.
It's also not toxicity, but, oh, I just had a thought, let me post it to the town.
Yeah, there are those people.
lot of that.
So, well, okay, so what about talking next time about our, so we could either talk about all the priorities and, you know, consider adding things or deleting things from the big list, or we could have a discussion centered around our communication strategy and, you know, specifically, like, you know, are there other things in the PV forum to be doing? Which of those two appeals more?
For me, the question simply, how do we get more people really engaging and learning and contributing to, you know, positive, developing positive solutions? That's Leslie's bottom line.
Mhm.
Okay, well, maybe we just have the broader discussion about priorities, and that would be part of it, would be the, you know, are we going to the place with the biggest bang for the buck in terms of impact with communications?
You must be thinking how to take action on this, right? This morning.
You know, I take action on things that are toxic, but there's a limit to how much I can confront misinformation. Yeah, especially during the election, that was full of toxicity and misinformation, and unfortunately continues. I mean, the same group, probably the same group that posts the PV forum with nasty things are the ones that, you know, full of misinformation, and they come to meetings like this full of misinformation. So a little difficult.
For the public record here, you're a splendid moderator.
Thanks.
Getting back to something we talked about a few months ago, I think one thing we can talk about in terms of our goals is our goal to sway people, or is our goal to make change? Because I brought up, I think, swaying people, especially in this town. Is there another way that we can have a back for our buck in terms of policy and influence on the
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Well, it would be good to, I think I'm skipping to, I think I'm bouncing back to an old topic as far as write-ups, things that go into PV form or whatever we learn from our green waste tour,
Mhm.
that's good.
Yeah.
Especially the good,
Yeah,
to reinforce it by writing about it and making sure people know that, yes, your organics really are sorted.
yeah,
I'll be happy.
yeah.
But you know, how much, what percentage of our, if they have it broken down by town, I'm not convinced they do, but what percentage of our recycling gets tossed because it's dirty, you know, dirty plastic, as opposed to you're supposed to wash your plastic? How much non-recyclable plastic is, you know, merged in with the stuff that they can really use?
Mhm.
Statistics and tips on how to do it better.
What do I do with my plastic? Should I throw it out? Or should I recycle it? Recycle it. And he said, it's not gonna end up in the ocean. I'm like,
I don't know
And,
either. Is it better to go in
I
a
never
landfill
thought
or the
about-
ocean? Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Mhm. Mhm. Right, and the numbers they don't recycle, the non-ones and twos, if you accidentally put them in your recycling, I guess they go in landfill. I guess that's, yeah, I guess they go in landfill.
The arrows on plastic on this is not a recycling sign.
What? Yes, it's a, what it's made out of.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was deliberately designed to look like a recycling. sign.
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
And we have the issue with recycling waste cans. People look at a coffee cup and they say, oh, this is paper. And a dirty coffee cup will go in the recycle because they think it's paper, but it's dirty, it's food waste, it's
Coffee cup's
paper.
a problem.
And the coffee cup is the problem, but compostable, I mean, you know, if you don't have your own mug, a compostable coffee cup should go in compost. It should go in the trash here in Portola Valley, not everywhere, which is another problem, but I mean, it's very confusing.
Mhm.
So it might be nice to come out of the Green Waste Tour with a list of how we can do it better.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know, the church, for instance, it's, their recycling probably all gets thrown away because nobody goes through and resorts it. Well, I do, but that's one trash can's worth. I mean, yeah, so maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's something we need to write up and
Yeah.
put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right then.
Good. Yeah.
Don't go to recycling facility.
Been there. Yes.
I see why we're trying for February.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning?
Oh, yeah.
Aye. Okay. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Let's,
yeah.
let's talk about that briefly. Is December 21st too close to Christmas?
I can't do it.
Okay, do we want to skip December and jump to January? Do we want to reschedule December? Why don't we cancel the one in December since it's so
Good.
close to the holidays and just go for January?
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason I'd already.
In favor.